Good evening and welcome to the October 21st, 2020 legislative session of the Penfield Town Board. This evening, zooming in is Councilwoman Cole, Councilwoman Draw, Councilman Ockenden, and Town Attorney Dick Horowitz. In the auditorium tonight, do we have Councilman Andy Moore, Town Clerk Amy Steckloff, and myself, Town Supervisor Tony LaFountain. And those of us in the auditorium, I'll ask to please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And I'll ask our clerk to please officially call the roll for the record.
Draw.
Here.
Cole.
Here.
LaFountain.
Here.
Moore.
Here.
Ockenden.
Here. All right, before we get started with our agenda, I will read the official notice. Due to COVID-19 virus and the closing of town operations consistent with the governor's executive orders, the October 21st, 2020 Town Board legislative meeting will be held remotely via Zoom. This meeting will also be video recorded and broadcast live via the town's website at penfield.org, on the town's government access cable channel 1303, and on streaming media device, that's Roku, Apple TV, Amazon Fire. Please search Penfield TV in your device's app store. This is a free app. This meeting will later be transcribed. Questions regarding video coverage, please contact Penfield TV at 340-8661. If you would like to address the board on any matter, there are two public participation opportunities, one at the beginning of the agenda, one at the end of the agenda. You may participate by phone at 340-8771 or by electronic submission at penfield.org. With that, we will move into our communications and announcements. And I'll first recognize Councilwoman Draw. Do you have any communications or announcements this evening?
I do, Mr. Supervisor. Thank you.
Okay.
Holiday turkeys are needed. We're planning ahead to our holiday dinner distributions. This is at the Penfield Ecumenical Food Shelf. They've seen a dramatic increase in the number of families needing help with accessing food this year. Over a 30% increase since March and COVID began. They are now serving between 138 to 150 families weekly. Frozen turkeys are going to be on sale soon at our local stores. If you are able to donate one, that will be very helpful to serve our Penfield community. They will accept frozen turkeys for Thanksgiving on Saturday, November 21st, between 7:30 and 8:30 a.m. at the food shelf at 1618 Jackson Road. They will also accept frozen turkeys on Christmas on Saturday, December 19th, same time, same place. Smaller sized turkeys are fine, 8 to 12 pounds if possible. If you are able to assist and help this year, the Penfield Ecumenical Food Shelf would be very grateful for your support. So if you have any questions, please contact them at www.penfieldfoodshelf.com. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Ockenden, any communications or announcements this evening, sir?
No, sir, none tonight. Thank you.
All right. I'll next recognize Mr. Moore. Communications or announcements this evening, sir?
No communications, Mr. Supervisor.
All right. Councilwoman Cole, any announcements this evening?
You know, I'd like to make a plug for Penfield Rotary's Chicken Barbecue this weekend. It's on Saturday from 3:30 to 6:30 at the Penfield High School at the parking lot. And the barbecue, the funding for it, funds from it will go towards Penfield High School scholarships. So if you'd like to come out, you know, it's a barbecue with chicken, baked beans, macaroni, cornbread. So it should be a good time, and I hope people will come out.
Okay, great. Thank you, Councilwoman Cole. And that's this Saturday, the 24th. And can you give us the times again, Linda, if you wouldn't mind?
Yeah, 3:30 to 6:30 in the Penfield High School parking lot.
All right, great. So if you're looking for some good food, sounds like Saturday afternoon into early evening, Penfield Rotary is going to have a great chicken barbecue. So thank you for that. All right. Our town clerk, Ms. Steckloff, any announcements this evening?
I do have an announcement. Early voting in the town of Penfield will be located at Harris Whalen Park Lodge starting this Saturday, October 24th, and run through Sunday, November 1st. For the full list of early voting dates and times, please visit the town's website at www.penfield.org and click on the town's calendar link. The deadline to request an absentee ballot by mail is Tuesday, October 27th. Completed absentee ballots will need to be returned to the Monroe County Board of Elections at 39 West Main Street and must be postmarked by Tuesday, November 3rd. You may also return your ballot during early voting days at a secure drop box outside any of the 12 early voting locations in Monroe County. Secure drop boxes will also be located outside any of the 282 polling sites on Election Day, Tuesday, November 3rd. Please do not place your absentee ballot application or your absentee ballot in the town hall's lock box. We are not collecting ballots and won't have a Board of Elections drop box at the town hall until Election Day. So for more information, please visit monroecounty.gov/elections or call me at 340-8629. And I hope all registered voters exercise their right to vote. Thank you.
Okay, great message. Thank you. All right, we'll move on to our next item. This is one of two opportunities to address the board on any matter. This is our first public participation, and I'll pause just for a moment and see if there's anyone that does call in. I will remind our viewing audience that the Penfield Town offices are open. We're open by appointment only, and anyone coming into the facility must wear a mask as part of the safety, not only for our employees, yourself and your families as well. Seeing no call-ins or emails at this time, we'll continue on with our agenda. I'll ask the board, are there any additions or deletions to tonight's agenda, board? Seeing none from any of our board members, before us, we do have the minutes from September 16th, 2020, and I would entertain a motion of approval for those minutes.
Moved.
Second.
Been moved by Councilman Moore, seconded by Councilwoman Cole. I'll ask at this time, is there any discussion of those September 16th minutes? Seeing no discussion, we'll ask for a roll call vote, please.
Draw,
Aye.
Cole,
Aye.
LaFountain,
Aye.
Moore,
Aye.
Ockenden.
Aye.
5 ayes.
Okay, thank you. I'll ask board, have any of the board members, town attorney, or town clerk received any petitions since our last get-together?
If not.
Okay, thank you. And seeing no petitions being received, we'll move on to resolution by function, and we will begin with law and finance, please.
Adoption of final budgets for fiscal year 2021 for the town of Penfield.
Moved.
Second.
Whereas the Penfield Town Board of the Town of Penfield, having the 7th day of October 2020, commencing at 7 p.m., held a public hearing on the preliminary budget for fiscal year beginning January 1st, 2021. Whereas all requirements of Article 102 through 109 of the New York State Town Law for preparation and adoption of general highway and library budgets have been met. Whereas in addition to the above legal requirements, a presentation of the 2021 tentative budget was made at the Penfield Town Board meeting held on September 16th. Whereas all persons desired to be heard in the matter of the budget of the town of Penfield for fiscal year 2021 have been fully heard. Now therefore be resolved that the final budgets for general highway and library funds and for special districts be and the same are hereby adopted as annual budgets for the fiscal year beginning January 1st, 2021, and such annual budgets as so adopted be entered in the minutes of the proceedings of this town board, and the annual budget made available for public inspection at the Penfield Clerk's office during normal business hours, as well as the town finance office at the town hall and the town library at 1985 Baird Road. Be it further resolved that the town clerk, the town of Penfield, prepare and certify, provide by law, duplicate copies of said budgets together with assessment rolls for the town and deliver one such copy to the supervisor of this town, and the supervisor shall provide such copy to the Monroe County Legislature as required by law. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Moore. And before I entertain any discussion or comments on this resolution, I would like to point out that the tentative budget, the preliminary budget, and then once this resolution is adopted, the final budget, all will be on our website. We did receive a number of different questions that came in from different residents, and we have posted on that website those questions and the answer to those questions so that everyone has the opportunity to see all of that information and to make sure everything is as transparent as possible. So with that, I would ask, are there any further discussions regarding the 2021 budget?
Mr. Supervisor, if I can kind of lead off tonight on the budget discussion. First, I just want to thank you for your efforts and thank the town staff for their efforts. This was an incredibly difficult year, as everybody is well aware, with COVID-19 impacting our lives, impacting the lives of residents here in Penfield, and certainly town government here in Penfield since probably early March. Putting together this budget, I know in my conversations with you, was extremely difficult, working with all the department heads and trying to really tighten our belts as much as we can. I remember a conversation I had with Councilman Bob Ockenden back in March when you first told us that we were going to start putting together the budget, and Councilman Ockenden made it very clear to me, and I think he made it very clear to the rest of the town board, that he wanted to pursue everything we could to not raise the town taxes and the town tax rate here in Penfield, given the difficult financial situation that many families were facing. And so I think this budget reflects that commitment. Certainly want to thank Councilman Bob Ockenden for laying down that, that framework per se, or that foundation for where we are today. I also want to thank you, Mr. Supervisor, for your commitment to transparency and open government with the budget. The budget was presented before the town board on September 16th, the public hearing on October 7th, and then ultimately we are here today for the vote. The budget is available, has been available for over a month now on the town website, both the preliminary budget, which is the detailed budget, and then the tentative budget, which is more of an executive summary, and then certainly the finance director's presentation that she gave us multiple times in front of this board and in front of residents. I did have the opportunity to speak with all the department heads, and many of the department heads that I talked to, talked about what they were doing as far as controlling costs and reducing expenditures, and I greatly appreciate their commitment to where we are today. And Tony, certainly you and Finance Director Barbara Cherto have made yourselves available to the general public, any resident that wanted to speak to you about the budget, concerns, recommendations. You've always made yourself available to residents, and that's greatly appreciated by them. I would also just like to note, too, that we're here today to vote on a budget, and I believe we are the first town in Monroe County who will be voting on their town budget for 2021 before Election Day, which continues to be our commitment here for transparency and open government. A couple things I just wanted to mention and touch base on. I know the finance director at the public hearing talked about property taxes and what your total property tax consists of and who's responsible for what. And I think that's a very important point to make. And I probably don't see the ability to pull up this pie chart, but I think this pie chart that you provide in the budget, Mr. Supervisor, does a very good job of explaining where your taxes come from, where they go, and who's responsible for what. And so I'm just going to show this pie chart here. It is in the budget document and online if you want to go see it. And so you can see if your total property tax bill was, let's say, $10,000, we'll just use the $10,000 number. That consists of your school property taxes, your town property taxes, and your county property taxes. School district taxes are typically 68% of your total property tax bill. County taxes are approximately about 24% of your total property tax bill. And town taxes, the part of the tax that we control as your town board, is about 8%. So if you look at your total property tax bill of $10,000, you will see that $6,800 of that goes to the school district, $2,400 of that goes to the county, and then $800 of the $10,000 is the responsibility of this town board. Again, the town board controls only 8% of your total property taxes here in Monroe County. So I think it's important just to point that out. I know many people pay their school district taxes here at the town hall and may get confused that actually the town board controls your school district taxes, and that is not true. State law requires certain size towns, such as Penfield, for residents to be able to pay their school district taxes at the town hall, and we comply with that requirement. The town of Penfield does not control school district property taxes and so forth. The other chart that I thought was very interesting, worth noting, was really a study or a mechanism put together by the New York State Comptroller's Office last year that shows fiscally stressed communities. And I know this may be difficult to see, but if you look at this chart, you want to see that there's three different levels. There's significant, which is a higher number, a moderate, which is a lower number, and then susceptible, which is even a lower number of fiscally stressed communities. You do not want to be up at the top under significantly stressed. You want to be as low as possible. A low score is a good score. And so if you look at the town of Penfield, over under this column here, you can see Penfield is 1.7 on that score. It doesn't even reach the level of susceptible. If you look at all towns, it's a score of 5.4. If you look at the Finger Lakes region, it's an average score of 4.5. And if you look at large towns, it's a score on average of 6.3. And so Penfield, again, is 1.7. And the average of all towns is 5.4. It's a great score by a third party, the State Comptroller's Office, in how we handle our finances here in Penfield and our commitment to fiscal responsibility. There are some towns in Monroe County that are at the score of 5. And there's other towns that are at the score levels of 3, between 3 and 5. And Penfield has one of the best scores of the 19 towns in Monroe County. So I think that's just something that I want to point out is our commitment to fiscal responsibility and good budgeting practices here in Penfield. So with that being said, Mr. Supervisor, I just want to go ahead and point out again, the town tax rate here in Penfield moving forward into 2021 is not increasing. It's staying flat at $2.87. And so if you look at all 19 towns in Monroe County, what their tax rates are, Penfield has one of the lowest tax rates of all 19 towns in Monroe County at $2.87. And just to give you a little example of that, you can look at the towns that have lower tax rates than Monroe County. Town of Riga has a 0 tax rate, but Riga also has one of the largest landfills in our community with the Mill Seat landfill, which actually pays for the town taxes. Henrietta has a low town tax rate. As we know, with the industrial development, commercial development, and retail development, it's a much different community than here in Penfield. Perrinton also has a landfill, the High Acres landfill, which contributes hundreds of thousands of dollars every year to the town of Perrinton in order to cover their budget. And then you have Mendon and Parma at 4 and 5, which being very rural communities, they have a lot of state roads and county roads in those communities. So the upkeep of the infrastructure in the town is not completely at the responsibility of town government, so they can keep those town taxes very low. And then you have Penfield at $2.78. There are a bunch of towns that have taxes up in the $5 range. You have a town with taxes at $6.17, another town at $6.10, another town at $6.22. So think about that. At $2.78 for Penfield, there are towns that are more than double what the tax rate is here in Penfield. When you look at the Penfield School District, their tax rate for 2021 is $27.29. The school district in Webster, residents that live in the northern portion of Penfield, that Webster School District town tax rate is $21.85. Remember, Penfield is $2.78 compared to $27.29. The city of Rochester's tax rate was $17.57. And then if you look at villages, which is an additional tax on top of the town tax rate, you have East Rochester in the $15 range, Fairport in the $6 range, and even Pittsford in the $4 range, in addition to what they pay in town taxes. And so, Mr. Supervisor, again, I think this is just a good example and a good way of talking about what that tax rate here is in Penfield and how we try to keep it as low as possible in the best interest of the working families in Penfield. There are 5 towns in Monroe County whose tax rates are double what it is in Penfield, and you have 13 towns in Monroe County with higher tax rates here in Penfield. Looking forward into 2021, there are already multiple towns that are proposing pretty good tax rate increases in their 2021 budget. In the town of Penfield, we are not raising the tax rate. We are holding it flat at a level that was seen back in 2005. So I just wanted to point out a couple of those points, Mr. Supervisor, and moving into the town budget a little bit, some people, kind of say, well, what is in a town budget? And I think it's worth exploring and worth talking about. And so when you look at what exactly is in the town budget, there are some services and some functions of town government that maybe people don't know about or maybe people aren't aware about, which is covered under that $2.78. One thing is certainly the library. The Penfield library system is fantastic. There's hundreds of thousands of visitors that go there every year. This year it's been a little bit lower because it's had some issues with being open with COVID-19. But on a normal year, I think in 2019 we had somewhere in the range of 200,000 visitors. The 10 parks here in Penfield, the upkeep of those parks, over 300 acres of parkland. Certainly playground equipment and playground maintenance is a top priority for this town board. Outdoor recreation activities with those playgrounds in helping working families and children grow, develop, learn, and exercise. The recreation programs here in Penfield are second to none. Over 1,000 programs are offered with meeting rooms, and so forth, for Penfield residents, from youth to adults and to senior programming. Town historian is funded. Youth services are funded. We have a preservation or a historic preservation board. I'm not sure many other towns in Monroe County have a historic preservation board. Certainly our July 4th parade and fireworks are funded moving forward. Hopefully we'll be able to have those in 2021. Many of our special events like the food truck rodeo, Tastin' the Blues, the chili cook-off, Halloween fun night, all of that is funded in this budget. Adult recreation programs, as I said before, our DEER program, daytime education at recreation is fully funded in this budget. And our commitment to sustainability and green energy initiatives is also funded. Penfield has a conservation board, Penfield also has an Energy and Environment Committee, one of the few towns in Monroe County that has made that step in having its own dedicated Energy and Environment Committee. With the leadership of Councilman Bob Ockenden and yourself, Mr. Supervisor, we have started to move forward with what's called a CCA, or Community Choice Aggregation. And that is an effort to be able to provide clean and renewable electricity to Penfield residents that hopefully will lower their utility costs and help the environment. I know we just recently put out an RFP for a manager of that. We'll go through that process according to what we legally have to do. But this town board has made the commitment to move forward and look at this offering to residents as an initiative for sustainability and green energy and our commitment to the environment here. And so special thanks to Councilman Bob Ockenden for his leadership in that initiative. Website. Can't thank Dave Renner and his team at Penfield TV for their commitment in keeping the website updated. We're transitioning to a new website here in the future, which will be exciting. It will be user-friendly. It will even expand more on our capabilities of open government and transparency more than what we do today, and providing residents with easy access to information in what's going on in the town with all the different departments here. And so I want to thank Dave and his team for their commitment there. Memorial Day celebration, moving forward, road repairs, which are absolutely critical, nude sidewalks, our commitment to walkability, connectivity, and wellness. We saw that recently in Huntington Meadow sidewalks and Sanders Farm Road sidewalks, all new sidewalks in communities that we worked with to put them there at their request. And so it was a good partnership in the best interest of neighborhoods and residents. Plowing roads, a big one as we're getting closer to winter, over 287 lane miles of roads that our town crews are responsible for cleaning. Sewer maintenance, over 359 miles of sewers, which can be extremely old. I believe some sewers are up near 50 years old at this point. And so that becomes an everyday activity for our highway department, our public works department, to make sure that those are flowing correctly as best we can. Street lighting is a big part of our commitment. The amphitheater series, moving forward with our youth concerts, our jazz concerts, and special events there are all funded in this budget. And certainly, again, talking about our commitment to green energy and sustainability in the environment, our solar array here at the town highway department, that was put in a few years ago under the supervisor's direction, and that lowers our utility costs, ultimately lowering costs to town taxpayers. We have 3 electric charging stations here in Penfield, one at the town hall, one at the community center, and one at Harris Whalen Park. Not sure any other town in Monroe County has 3 public use electric charging stations for electric vehicles. The box lacrosse field opened up and gets used quite a bit. Exciting stuff for our youth recreation programs. The maintenance of Jack's Playground at Rothfuss, that playground gets used by hundreds of children every day and is really a jewel in our playground portfolio, and certainly we try to maintain that to the best we can. And then Shadow Pines, which is a big one. We've got a master plan recommendation now in place, and this budget moving forward will help make sure that we keep Shadow Pines the way we need to keep it, and looking forward to starting some improvements on that with trails and so forth, working together, moving forward into 2021 with Shadow Pines. But this is only a few things that I looked at and put together on a quick sheet here about the good things and some of the things that we do in the town of Penfield in this budget. And so I just want to conclude in my statements tonight that I think the 2021 budget is good news for Penfield residents. It demonstrates this town board's commitment to fiscal responsibility and reduced town department head requests by somewhere in the range of $900,000. There is less spending in 2021 than there was in 2020. keeps the town tax rate flat. So there is no increase in your town tax rate here in Penfield. The budget certainly is under the New York State mandated property tax cap, and the budget maintains our double A1 credit rating by Moody's Investors, which is one of the highest credit ratings that Moody has for municipalities such as Penfield. And then something that I just find absolutely fascinating as a little statistic, that our 2021 budget is our 2021 tax rate is lower than what it was in 2005. So with that, Mr. Supervisor, I do plan on supporting this budget tonight. Certainly appreciate your commitment to fiscal responsibility and the town board's commitment and the staff here at the Penfield Town Hall for helping us put together this budget. It's a good budget for Penfield residents. It acknowledges the fiscal difficult times that we're in today under current health environment and this town board's commitment to fiscal responsibility. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Moore. Further discussion by the board.
I'd like to thank you, Mr. Supervisor, for putting together this budget with the different department heads. And during these trying times, we know it was difficult, and not to raise taxes. We didn't want to do it, and you found a way to make that happen. So I totally appreciate all your efforts to help keep our residents from having to pay more than what they want to in this temperament of our world. And what we can do to help them is the best for our community, and it's what makes our community what it is. So thank you very much for all you did to keep this budget flat tax.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Mr. Supervisor, if I can.
Please.
I know that Councilman Moore and Councilwoman Cole have already had wonderful comments to make about this budget. And I think the one thing that we can take away from this too is, I would add, is I think none of us knew back in early 2020 that this was what was gonna happen with COVID. And so no one knew how our budget would be affected by this throughout this year, and that it's continuing to be a pandemic. I think when you're looking between you, Mr. Supervisor, the department heads, the comptroller, and all of us in the town board working with you and reviewing things, looking at what the difference between the wants that are wanted by everybody people want a lot of things, everybody, and the needs, and being able to budget out between what is a want and what is a need. And ultimately, I think we all agreed, and we all did agree, we didn't want to see an increase for our residents. And that was something that was very, very important. I know Bob did express that. Councilman Ockenden did it a number of times as well as the rest of us. So I just would like to thank you. I think that this is a budget we can all be proud of. I know as a town board member, going through this budget for the first time and sitting back here on the town board, I'm proud of this. I'm proud that we have come to this, and ultimately, I know that the community, we can all know that we did our due diligence to continue to make this a wonderful town by passing this budget, a good solid budget with no tax increase for our residents. So thank you. I will be voting in favor of this budget.
Thank you, Councilwoman Draw. Any last comments on the budget?
Sure, Mr. Supervisor, just briefly, again, many great comments tonight. I echo all of them. As you know, this was my first full budget cycle process that I had the pleasure of being a part of. And certainly I just want to thank yourself and Barbara and all the department heads for the work that you've done to get us to where we are today. The amount of time that's spent working with everyone is certainly no easy task. As Councilman Moore stated, we had a pretty challenging goal. We've reached it. I'm real proud of that. And as Councilwoman Draw stated, our residents, many of them are in need, as kind of proven by the use of the food shelf. So passing this budget provide some assistance to our residents during these unusual times of need. And if I just can add on to that, Councilwoman Draw referenced the food shelf. This Saturday, the 24th, is also a food drive at 1618 Jackson Road. So from 9 to noon, you can check their media pages for any additional details. But again, pleased to be a part of this budget, and I'm very happy that we're where we are today. So thank you.
Thank you. All right, definitely a team effort that starts with our board crafting guidance and guidelines for us, and our finance director working with myself and all of our department heads. It really is a team effort. I think that's what makes it work so well. So it makes my job a lot easier with the guidance from the board and the support of the department heads to make this the budget that I think everyone will be pleased with. So thank you. So with that, and seeing no further comments, I would ask for a roll call vote on the approval of the 2021 budget for the town of Penfield.
Draw,
Aye.
Cole,
Aye.
The Fountain,
Aye.
Moore,
Aye.
Ockenden,
Aye.
5 ayes. Authorization to place a traffic control device on Panorama Trail at Panorama Creek Drive.
Moved.
Second.
Be it resolved that the town board hereby authorizes the installation of a left-only sign on Panorama Trail at Panorama Creek Drive northbound as requested and recommended by the Monroe County Department of Transportation pursuant to authority granted by sections 1651 and 1652-A of the New York State Vehicle and Traffic Law in a letter dated October 13th, 2020. And now therefore be it resolved that the town clerk be and is hereby directed to sign and return said letter of recommendation for a left-only sign dated October 13th, 2020, with a copy of this resolution to the Monroe County Department of Transportation.
Thank you, Mr. Ockenden. I'll ask further discussions on this resolution. Seeing no further discussion, I'll ask for a roll call vote, please.
Draw,
Aye.
Cole,
Aye.
The Fountain,
Aye.
Moore,
Aye.
Ockenden,
Aye.
5 ayes.
Excuse me. Okay, that brings us to old business. Is there any old business to come before the board this evening? Seeing none, I'll ask, is there any new business to come before the board this evening? Again, seeing none, this is our second public participation section for anyone to ask a question or raise any items up on any matter for the town. While I pause for a moment to see if anything comes in on our website or phone calls. Again, I would remind everyone on these last couple of days, we've got some very much needed rain. However, it's also that time of the year when the leaves start to fall, and would encourage, as folks continue to look at cleaning up their leaves for the year, not to rake them into the gutter or into the road. I would encourage to keep them for the safety of everyone. And if you have a catch basin or a yard inlet in and around your location, make sure that that's free and clear of leaves so that it minimizes any flooding overall. So thank you in advance for that. Seeing no further matters come before the board, seeing no public participation at this time, the October 21st, 2020 legislative session of the Penfield Town Board will stand adjourned at 7:39 p.m. I'd like to once again thank everyone that participated this evening. Thank you to Penfield TV, the team of Dave, Brian, and Ryan downstairs that puts all of this together for us during these unusual times, but makes it look very easy. So thank you guys for all of that effort. And as always, during these very difficult times, please be well and be safe. Have a great evening.